lovely people, my name's Nicole. It is the end of the month, so it's time for my August wrap up. I did not read that much this month. I had kind of a chaotic month, lots of working and then moving back to school, so I didn't actually have all that much time to read. I also feel like I'm in a bit of a slump, but it's fine. We will work through it. And then I also don't have like half the books I read with me, so this is just kind of a mess of a video. It's fine. It will just go with it. Alright, so the first book I read this month was Otherbound by Corinne Davy, I'm sorry. So I felt like this book had all the bones I wanted. It was dual perspective, half fantasy, half contemporary, and there were queer aspects and characters who weren't able-bodied and a really diverse cast. And so it had all these elements that I love, but something about it just didn't really click for me. I didn't really feel like I got super attached to the characters. I didn't really understand the magic system that well. I felt like it wasn't really explained all that much. I did, however, love the discussion of the sort of morality aspect of it, of the, is this guy going into this strange girl's head and sometimes like taking over, is it okay, even if he's doing it like trying to help, even if he's doing it for the right reasons, does that make it okay? So like I said, I have sort of conflicting feelings about this book. I personally didn't get too like emotional about it. I was never like worried for the characters just because I didn't really care about them all that much. But I think part of that may just be the headspace that I went into it with. So I think that it's the kind of thing that didn't really work for me, but I definitely think it'll work for other people. So I gave it 3.75 stars. Then I read Summer Days and Summer Nights, edited by Stephanie Perkins. This is Stephanie Perkins' second sort of romance anthology. The first one was My True Love Gave to Me, and that's her holiday story anthology. And this one was so good. Obviously there were some stories I liked more than others, but overall I give the collection 4 stars. Some of my favorites included Stephanie Perkins, Nina LaCour's, Veronica Roth's was amazing. Both Stephanie Perkins and Veronica Roth, those were probably my 2 favorites. I also really liked Lee Bardugo's. I felt like the beginning of it had a little bit of like a Ava Lavender kind of feel. Jennifer E. Smith's was, as expected, adorable and fluffy. And then Lev Grossman's, I felt like did a really good job of taking a well-used trope, it's sort of a Groundhog Day type thing, and interpreting it in a new sort of fun, really cool way. Ones that I wasn't a huge fan of, Francesca Leah Block's story, I just had troubles with the main character and it just, things kind of annoyed me and it felt like people were kind of immature. John Scrivon's, I just had issues with the writing style and I didn't really feel like the main characters got a chance to like really develop their relationship. They just kind of went from like barely knowing each other to suddenly, oh, we're in love, obviously. And then Cassandra Clare's story, I was so disappointed. Part of the reason it's on the list of like things I wasn't as huge a fan of was just because I had such high expectations, because I love Cassie Clare and I know that she can do better, but this gave me like my Immortal vibes, and I feel like it had a really cool setup of like this creepy carnival and like the carnival demon that like keeps everything alive, and it's like magic creepy, and I just didn't really feel like the like main romance had that much chemistry. It was just kind of frustrating for me. I mean, it wasn't bad, but like it just wasn't as good as I know Cassie Clare can do. Then I read an Authors Odyssey by Chris Colford. This is the 5th book in the Land of Stories series, which I absolutely love. It's such a fantastic middle grade series. It takes all your favorite fairy tale characters and makes them absolutely hilarious and lovable. These books are so funny and honestly they're just a joy to read. This one was really different from the rest of them because we were sort of branching off from fairy tales and classic stories into one of the characters' own stories. So we had like pirates and we had spaceships, and it was really cool to kind of explore other genres. Although I did feel like this book kind of suffered a bit from like the middle book syndrome. It's not technically second book syndrome because it's the 5th book in the series, but it did feel a little bit like a transition book. Like, you know those like getting ready montages where like someone's preparing for battle and you see everyone like sharpening their swords and putting on armor? It felt kind of like that. We were basically just gathering our like army. So that was really my main issue with it. I give it 4 stars. Then I read P.S. I Like You by Casey West, and this may be my favorite book that I've read this month. It's Casey West, so it's absolutely adorable. Here's the thing about Casey West books. They're cheesy, they're kind of predictable, they are so sappy, and they play into all the best romance tropes, and they are everything you could ever want. Like, I love me some sappy, adorable romance, and this is exactly that. It is perfect. The main characters had so much chemistry, and I loved seeing their relationship development, and also, like, it totally played into one of my favorite tropes. I'm not gonna say what because I don't want to spoil anything, but it was so good. I read it for like 3 hours straight at like 3 o'clock in the morning. The main character was adorable and lovable and funny, and I felt like she and her romantic interest had really good relationship building conversations. Literally the only issue I had with this was that the sort of villain, I guess, of the book, Sasha, felt kind of one-dimensional, but I'm honestly, the rest of the book was so amazing that I'm okay with that. I gave it 5 stars. And then, if you follow me on Goodreads, then you know that it's probably about damn time that this book is gonna wrap up, because it's Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I have been reading this book for like 6, 7, 8 months, something like that. It was just sort of, I would read like 20 pages and then put it down for a month and a half. And then I would read another 10 and put it down for another 2 months. And I literally, like, before picking it up to finish it, I had not picked it up in a solid, like, 3 months. It was so bad. But I was so sick of it being on my, like, currently reading list on Goodreads that I just, you know what, I need to pick it up. I know I like Pierce Brown's writing. I know he's a good writer. I like, haven't been in a sci-fi mood. But I just said, you know what, I just need to do this. So I picked it up, and I read it, and it was so good, guys. Like I said, I love Pierce Brown's writing. I actually was having a conversation with my dad, who also loves this series, about his writing and about how it's so clear from Red Rising to Golden Sun to Morning Star, which I haven't read yet, how much his writing is developing so rapidly and getting so much better. Like, he started off really good. Red Rising's amazing. But just like in this book and in the next book, his writing gets so just out of this world good. He is an incredible writer. This world that he's created in this series is so expansive and immersive. It's absolutely incredible. It's so complex. One of the things that originally drew me to the series, because it's kind of a like dystopian trope that I am kind of a sucker for, this idea of a society that so strictly has created this like hierarchy, and the idea of like the people at the bottom rising up and being like, no, screw you, we're just as good as you people at the top. And I love it. I did feel like sometimes it was easy to get lost in the Sons of Ares plot versus what Darrow was just doing for his like house. They were kind of two conflicting things that weren't really conflicting, but kind of, I don't know. I found it kind of confusing, but I just sort of rolled with it. The characters are all so complex and so interesting. I love this series. Sci-fi, hard sci-fi is not usually my thing, and this book I think especially threw me because the first book could have passed for a fantasy book, honestly. It also could have passed for YA, and this book can't pass for either of those. It's very hard sci-fi, very political, both of which are things that I'm not super used to reading, but like I said, it's so good, and you should definitely pick up this series because it's amazing. So I give it 4 stars. Then I read Miss Marvel Volume 4 Last Days, and this was such a great installment of the series. It was fun and funny. I loved the interactions between Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, and then also the little series with Spider-Man at the end. So great. TBH, my favorite part was probably when she's like, holy shit, you're Spider-Man, and he's like, oh, she's probably gonna like freak out because like, I'm Spider-Man, I'm so cool, and like people always forget about that, and she's like, you dated Captain Marvel, tell me everything about her. It was adorable. Kamala's just such a fantastic, adorable fangirl, and I love her. And this one had a really great balance of character development and relationship development and like emotional development. I just feel like this had pretty much everything I needed, and so I give it 5 stars. Alright, so those are all the books I read in August. Tell me what you think of any of them in the comments. Yeah, it was kind of a slow reading month. I only read like 6 or 7 books. I don't know. I'm falling behind on my Goodreads challenge, guys. I gotta pick this up. I love you, and I will see you later. Bye!